Hey everybody, welcome back to the Fish Tank. I'm Bad as a Fish, and today we're going to be talking about Elo and ranking within Minion Masters. Now, you may have heard the term Elo kind of thrown around within Minions, and I think there's a lot of confusion regarding it, and quite fairly. A lot of people don't really know why there is an Elo, what the Elo does, and hopefully in today's video we're going to unpick that so you get an idea of what the Elo is, why the Elo system exists, and kind of how it works and how it impacts on your ranking and your points and stuff like that. Now, let's just go back into the history of Mini Masters just for a little bit. Originally, everything was driven by rank. So there was no Elo system originally in Mini Masters. Rank was king. And what that means is when the system was looking for an opponent for you, the matchmaking algorithm, it would be looking for opponents based solely on rank. So be looking for people about a similar rank as you to play against. And, you know, on the surface, that sounds like a sensible thing to do. But when we consider things like the monthly season resets, the rank resets, where everyone's rank drops down, and it kind of muddies the water a little bit there. And it doesn't quite give the best matchmaking experience that it could do. And there's a better system. So what happened back in November of 2020 when Beta Dwarf, the developers, originally announced Mini Masters 2.0, one of the things they mentioned is they were going to be adding an Elo system, and the Elo system was going to be controlling the matchmaking. So Elo is a system behind the scenes where it kind of monitors a player's ability based on their results, and it gives you a very good indication comparatively to the other players as to what sort of level they're playing at. And not only does it do that over a season, it does that over a longer period. So it gives you a very good idea of a level of a player's ability. Much better than if you're just looking at the snapshot of their rank. So that was slated to be added in Mini Masters 2.0. Unfortunately, Mini Masters 2.0 back in the day didn't happen. We do know that Mini Masters 2.0 is coming by the end of 2023. But what happened is this system was effectively added to live primarily to gain and monitor a lot of data so it would be ready for 2.0. 2.0 didn't happen, and then it was properly added to live, so it's in live, and it has been in live since I think the end of 2021. But the problem is there was never a UI update. So from a player's perspective, there's no indication in the game that Elo exists and what Elo does. Now, there are ways of checking your Elo and seeing how your Elo stacks against other players, but it has to be done via an external website. It's kind of an official, unofficial thing that the developers have set up, and I'll put links in the description for that if you want to check your Elo and find out about that. But my hope is when 2.0 proper comes by the end of 2023, we'll have a proper Elo integration in the game and everything will be seen and the confusion will be removed. So we started off with rank, then Elo was added. So we have both a ranking and an Elo system. Do we need both? Well, Elo is now in control of the matchmaking. So when the matchmaker looks for an opponent for you, it is purely looking for people based on Elo. Their rank is irrelevant. Now, this is why you sometimes get a on paper potential mismatch of players based on their rank, because it's not considering rank, it's just considering the Elo. So what can happen is at the start of a season when the ranks are all over the place, you can get matches with wildly fluctuating ranks of players within, but actually the Elo behind the scenes, the players are actually fairly appropriately matched together. And you know, we've had many occasions where people have complained about, in the global chat, there was definitely an occasion where somebody complained about, oh, I've got this really low rank player on my team, and there just happens to be a dev in the chat at the moment. He checked the stats on the game, and that really low ranked player actually had the highest Elo of any of the players in the game. So rank really doesn't show you too much, or it doesn't show you everything. So as mentioned, Elo does solely control the matchmaking. But why do we have rank? Well, rank's there. It's kind of it's something the players can see. It gives you an idea, a feeling of progression during the monthly period. And of course, there's the reset, and then you get that progression again. So it's kind of an encouragement to keep playing the game, really. If you just got to a high rank and then you were stuck at that high rank forever, then, you know, people wouldn't play the game so much. But we come back every month because we want to get those ranks again. So as mentioned, the rankings have the reset at the end of the season, and that's why rank is not really a good indicator of a player's ability. There is a small elo reset, a small elo decay at the end of a season. Specifically, if you want to get into the details of it, you lose 10% of your elo over the baseline, which in 1v1 and pre-mades is 1,000. Randoms is 600, because the randoms is a completely different kettle of fish. And the reason there's that elo decay is just because there's a small amount of inflation with regards to the bots adding points, as well as new players adding it in there. So that is really an overview of elo and rank, why we have them. Now we're going to have a look at a bit of a maths. Now don't get too freaked out by the maths. If you want to pause the video and have a look at the formula and figure it out for yourself, you can do. But I think it's important to look at the formula because it allows us to understand what parts, what things the formula takes into account to get to its result. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a look first of all, and this is the easiest part, the elo points formula. Now, after a match, the number of elo points won and the number of elo points lost are the same. So if a player wins 20 elo points, their opponent will lose 20. So it's kind of a zero-sum game, kind of a closed system with regards to that. Now, of course, just a reminder, this elo points won and lost, you can't see that in the game. When you see points after the game, that's your ranking points. So we need to remember which are the points we see and which are the points we don't. So the elo points are hidden. You can, of course, as mentioned, track them on an external website for now, and hopefully in the future they'll be in the game. So if we just have a quick look at this formula here. So the formula has what is called a K factor. The K factor is, in Minion Masters case, is 40, and that effectively allows the developer to cap the maximum number of points that can be won or lost. So you can win or lose up to 40 elo points in a game. And then if we just look at the formula, we can see the only really things that it takes into account is the elo of the winner and the elo of the loser. Rank here is completely irrelevant. It's purely based on elo. And we'll see when we look at the ranking points, it's not quite as straightforward there. So that is the elo points. And what we'll do is, looking at a formula, it's not that easy for, you know, us lay people to see exactly how that's going to work. We'll look at a tool I made a little bit later that helps give us an idea of exactly how these work. But just bear with whilst we go through the formulae. So ranking points formula, as mentioned with elo, the points you win are equal to the points the loser loses. That's not the same. That's not the case when we get to ranking points. The points won and the points lost might be the same, but they can also, and more likely, will be different. So we have two formulas, one for the ranking points gained by the winner, and two for the ranking points lost by the loser. Now, just to clarify, when you see the points lost or won in the game after a match, these are rank points. So this stuff here is what we see in the game. The elo, we don't. Hopefully you're kind of following along. Right, so what we need to look at here is what do these formula take into account? Okay, we're not too bothered about exactly how they work, but let's see what they take into account. So you can see here, they're taking into account the winner's rank and the loser's rank, but they're also taking into account the winner's elo for the winner's ranking points and the loser's elo for the loser's ranking points. So it's taking into account both elo and both rank. Now, effectively, what the system tries to do is, based on your elo, it gives you an expected rank. So behind the scenes, they have what is called an equivalence table, and it says if you're in this rank, you should have this elo. So the system knows based on your elo what your rank should be, and it also knows what your rank is. So what the system will try to do, and the reason that these formula take into account both your elo and your rank, is it will try to help you normalize to your expected rank. So for an example, at the start of a season, with a season reset, your rank will have dropped a lot lower than you're normally at. But as we spoke about earlier, the elo won't really have dropped much. So the system knows, based on your elo, your expected rank should be much higher than where you are at the moment. And what it will do is it will plug all that information into the formula, and if you win, it will give you a lot of points, because as you remember, at the start of the season, you'll see sometimes winning 400-500 points off of a win, and you can really start climbing up quickly. And that's because the system knows that you're far lower ranked than you should be. So it tries to help you get up there. And that works the opposite way as well. If you find yourself in a situation where your rank is much higher than your elo, so for example, at the start of a season, you've found some really strong, OP, 3 times mana chaser strats, and you've ranked up really quickly, but your elo's been lagging behind, the system will take that into account and it will know, hey, you're ranked far higher than you should be. And that's why you get into a position where when you're winning, you're not winning many points. And when you're losing a lot of points, because it's trying to bring you back down. It's trying to get you to that expected rank. So if you want to pause it and look at the way the formulas work, you can do. But what I did is I made a little tool that effectively runs on these formulas, but it kind of allows us to look at how we can play around with them without having to know too much maths. So what I've done here is we have a winner on the left and we have a loser on the right. So that they have a rank. You can see both of them starting at Diamond 5. They also have an elo, which is they're both starting at an elo of 1700. Now, the expected rank, Diamond 5, that is the system saying your elo's 1700, which I expect you to be at Diamond 5. So this is everything beautifully balanced here. Okay, we've got both players, they're in Diamond 5, their elos suggest they should be in Diamond 5, so everything's good. So we can see in this situation, if these two players would play off, we would have the winner winning 20 elo points. And as mentioned before, the number of elo points won is always equal to the number of elo points lost. So you'll see here the number of elo points lost by the loser is 20. And the ranking points also are kind of balanced, but not always. This is a very balanced situation here, which is not particularly normal. So in this situation, we've had 80 ranking points won by the winner and 80 ranking points lost by the loser. And we have a couple of sliders on each side, so we can adjust their rank and their elo. So if we start off just by looking at the elo, so if we increase the winner's elo, so by increasing their elo, you're suggesting they're a better player. So a 2100 elo player has beaten a 1700. You would expect that. And because it's kind of an expected result, you can see that the number of points won is only 3. Okay, they were expected to win. They didn't win too many. And conversely, we can drop that back down. We're back down to 1700 each. And then if we go further down, we've got a lower elo player beating a higher elo player. And they're getting rewarded by winning more points. In this situation, 37 points, and their opponents lost 37. Remember, this elo point here, the maximum is 40, won or lost, as controlled by the K factor, which we discussed a little earlier. Okay, so that's the elo part of it. And then we'll look at the ranking points. So remember, when we looked at the ranking points, it takes into account both the elos of the players and their rank. So if we increase the winner's rank, their ranking points go down. Why is that? Well, what we're saying here is we've got a player who's in Master 4, but his elo is saying he's only should be in Diamond 5. So his rank is far higher than his expected rank. And subsequently, the system is kind of penalizing him, if you like, because it knows he's too higher ranked, and therefore, if he's going to be winning, then he's not going to be winning too many points. And we can see the offshoot of this time, they've won only 20 points, but their opponent has lost 50 points. And we can look at the converse of this. If we bring their actual rank down, so they're in gold 3, but the system knows they should be in diamond 5. So this is an example of after a rank reset at the start of a new season. And we can do that for both players here. Let's bring them both down to gold 3. So both players are in gold 3, but both have an elo of 1700. So the system knows that they are ranked far lower than they should be. They should be in diamond 5 based on their elo. So this is the situation that we get when the season restarts. Because remember, the elo doesn't really change from season to the next season. So it remembers what rank you should be in effectively. So here we can see at the start of the season, the winner, because they're ranked far lower than they should be, the system's rewarding them to help them get up to that expected rank. They're getting 144 points. And we can see here the loser. The loser's barely losing any ranking points because the system again knows they should be ranked far higher. So it's trying to help them get up there. So what I'll do, if anyone's interested in checking out this tool, I will put it on my website and you can play around with it. It's fairly straightforward, but it gives us an idea of how things work. And hopefully it gives you an idea of how things affect the points you're being seen in the game. So remember, when we're looking at the points in the game, we're only seeing ranking points. It would be awesome if we had this set up where we had elo points and ranking and everything. And hopefully in the future we will. But for now, we just have to remember in the back of our mind that it's there. Also, one thing to remember is win streaks. Now, win streaks will double the number of points you get. So here we can see we're going up from 144 to 288. So that's at the start of a season we can get massive points from the win streak. But we'll see that's only ranking points. Elo is not affected by win streaks. And that's another reason why it's a better indication of a player's ability, because it's not kind of muddied through win streaks. And just to confirm, with the ranking points and the win streaks, you get double ranking points if you're on a win streak all the way up to Master 1. Once you get into Master 1, there's no more win streaks. And that's why a lot of people will be able to get up to Master 1, but not get above Master 1. Because without being able to get a win streak bonus, that means you have to have a much higher win rate to actually progress. So that's why Master 1 becomes very, very tricky. Now, hopefully this gives you a good idea of how these things work and how they can be used. And again, as mentioned, let me know in the comments if you want me to put this up on my website and you can check it out. If you've got any feedback on how we can make this tool better or use it in a different way, let me know. But it's there and we can play around with it and we can, we can just mess around with people's elos, see how that affects it. But it gives us a good visual way of seeing what is going on without having to delve deep into the specifics of the mathematics. The mathematics is all running behind it. It's all done for you, assuming that I didn't mess up the code. Okay, and there we have it. Hopefully that gives you a good idea of how elo and rank is implemented in Minion Masters, how it affects things, how to access it, and hopefully it answers some questions that we see raised a lot in global chat with regards to these potential on paper mismatches between different ranks, but they're not actually mismatches. It's just because ranking is irrelevant when it comes to matchmaking. So yep, that's an overview. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you've got any questions, this is quite a tricky subject at times. So if you've got any questions, if you want anything clarified, of course, as always, let me know. If you've enjoyed this video, if you found it useful, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. It really does help. And the only thing that is left to do now is have an awkward wave. Hope you guys have a great day. I'm Bad as a Fish. I'll see you again soon here in the fish tank.